Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to turn NotebookLM into a sales letter on a sales page. Assuming that we're going to be using a video course, what we're going to do first is we're going to create a new notebook. When we create this new notebook, what we're going to do is we're going to upload the course content to the notebook. So what we have uploaded so far to NotebookLM are audios. And then we've also uploaded slide presentations of the actual course. Notebook LM can't see a video. So the visuals that we're giving Notebook LM are going to exist inside of the PowerPoint. What we're going to do is we're going to then F5 to refresh our guide. But because we're not going to be giving this to a customer, we're going to use an authoritative source to help us to write our copy. And so we're going to get that authoritative source and place it inside of our Notebook LM notebook for our sales letter. And we have chosen an authoritative source, which we are now importing into the notebook. I'm going to give Notebook LM some information about what we're going to be delivering in the course. Once we pass on the information about what's going to be in the course, what we're going to do is we're going to ask Notebook LM, based on our authoritative source, what other information does Notebook LM need in order to write an effective sales letter for us? Before we initiate this, what we're going to do is we're going to configure the notebook. We're going to make this a custom notebook. And we're going to screenshot this area. And we're going to head to Gemini. We're first going to ask Gemini how we should configure the chat. We're going to attach the screenshot for the chat configuration. We're going to ask Gemini for what we should be placing inside of this area for the chat. What we're then going to do is we're going to copy and paste this information into the chat. And it's a good idea that when you get a response from Gemini that you save it and export your answers to the Google Doc. Once you have your Google Doc, you can then categorize this Google Doc into a place inside of your Google Drive where you will remember it. We're then going to paste in our configuration. What we're then going to do is we're going to ask for a longer response. We're then going to save it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our prompt. We're going to head to that same conversation. And what we want to do is we want Gemini to rewrite this prompt so that it will be able to give us an interview style format for us to give Notebook LM the information that it needs. So what we're telling Gemini is we want Notebook LM to tell us what it's going to need to assist us. So we're going to get Gemini to help us to write this prompt. Basically, we're asking Gemini how we can do better with this prompt. We're then going to click enter. So when we get this information, we're going to export this to Docs. We're then going to copy this prompt and we're going to copy it to Notebook LM. And we're going to replace this last line with the prompt that we got from Gemini. So now we have a complete prompt. What we're going to do is we're going to click enter. So Notebook LM has now given us a guide as to what we're going to need in order to write our sales letter. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this to a note. We're then going to export this to Google Docs. And so we now have our third document. Now this interview and set of questions is really based on your knowledge of your customer and your knowledge of the product. So even though you can get AI to assist you in answering, it's a good idea to answer these questions yourself. We're now going to paste in the answer. We're now going to click enter. And what we expect now is for Notebook LM to now assist us in writing the sales letter. Notebook LM will return its answer to us. And we're now going to save this to a note. What you're going to notice here is that Notebook LM has now given us citations in this case. We don't necessarily need the citations. So we're going to ask for Notebook LM to reproduce this letter exactly as it is, but without citation numbers, without citation references, and without the actual citations. So that's what we're going to ask Notebook LM to do, is to reproduce this entire letter, and we don't want it to leave out any words. And we're then going to click enter. And we just want NotebookLM to reproduce the letter without citations and citation references. We should now have a sales letter. And we're now going to save this sales letter to a note. What we're now going to do is we're going to take this sales letter within NotebookLM and we're going to create a sales page with HTML. Now what we're going to do is we're going to ask for NotebookLM to create and give us the HTML for a sales page with the style that we want. So what we're going to do here is we're going to write in plain language that what we want NotebookLM to do is to give us a plain black and white sales page. And then what we want the AI to do is to put it inside of an HTML format for us to cut and paste the entire letter into our favorite HTML editor software. Now, for the sake of this video, we're going to write in Dreamweaver. You may not use Dreamweaver for your favorite HTML editing software. You may use some other process. So even though we're going to substitute this, you would write in the name of your software or any HTML editor. We can then click enter. And we will allow NotebookLM to then create our HTML page. What we're going to do here is once this is complete, we're going to save this to a note so we don't lose it. We have our sales letter. We can now copy the entire sales letter. We're going to Control C. We're now going to head to our HTML editor software. We're going to come into the HTML editor. And we're going to paste in our sales letter. And our sales letter is now inside of our HTML editor. We can now save it as a page. And our HTML file is now on our hard drive. And we can edit it as we see fit. Now that we have completed this process, we will need to create a lead magnet. And so what we want to do is we want to come to Gemini and we want to ask Gemini what we're going to need to put into NotebookLM in order to create the lead magnet report. If you have Pro queries, you want to use them. We're going to use the thinking queries. We're then going to click enter and we're going to get the prompt that we're going to place inside of NotebookLM in order to create the lead magnet report. Once we have the prompt, we're going to copy it and export it to Google Docs. We're then going to copy this entire prompt and we're going to head to our NotebookLM notebook. We're now going to place in our prompt to our NotebookLM notebook. We're then going to click enter and we're going to allow NotebookLM to create our lead magnet report. And our lead magnet report is now created having used our authoritative source as a guide. So what we're now going to do is we're going to save our report to a note. And because we have this report saved to a note, we can then go to the ellipsis and we can export this report to Google Docs. And we can edit our lead magnet report for our use. So you can create your entire HTML sales letter based on your product and based on an authoritative source. You can also create the entire HTML page inside of NotebookLM. Okay, so thanks, and I will see you in another video.